Hello and welcome to Priya's Corner. Well, after the Ram Janmabhoomi temple in Ayodhya, the battle for faiths, the battle for narratives has now shifted to Kashi Vishwanath temple in Varanasi. We have the case going on in the courts, but I also have with me Dr. Vikram Sampath, who's written his latest book, Waiting for Shiva, Unearthing the Truth of Kashi's Gyanvyapi. He's read the case, the legal case, the archaeological case, but what I'm more interested in is the emotional and the cultural case that you have made for the Shiva temple over there in Varanasi. Can you tell our viewers a bit about what you've written?
Yes. Thank you, Priya, for inviting me to your corner. It's always great to have a podcast conversation compared to the channel. So in this case, as you rightly mentioned, while the legal stories are going on and news channels and newspapers are replete with a lot of information about it, I think what was also important, which I try to do through this book, is to bring back that awareness about the consciousness that Kashi was so significant in a pan-Indian, imagination. In the Puranas, which I trace, I've used Shiva Puran, Linga Puran, Padma Puran, Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Skanda Puran, all these places. And in Skanda Puran, there is this Kashi Khand, an extensive appendix to it, which talks about the greatness of Kashi. And there it said that Bhagwan Shiv himself talks to his wife, Devi Parvati, and says, anybody who leaves his or her mortal coils in Kashi, as the soul leaves the body and comes out, he himself assures them that he will whisper the Tarak Ram mantra in their ears of the soul, so that the soul gets salvation. So salvation is guaranteed for anybody who dies in Kashi. And so that's why
that's a very good case on its own.
The preponderance of all Indic faiths, whether it's Buddhists who look for nirvana or moksha in the Hindu tradition, is that you want liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So Kashi, when it is like guarantee, Modi ki guarantee, that is Shivji ki guarantee, that you are going to get salvation or moksha there. So everybody wanted to go and live in Kashi. In Marathi, there is a proverb. It says, Kashi zave nitya vadave. And that, I believe, even women used to say that, keep saying that I will go to Kashi, I will go to Kashi. Nitya vadave. Keep saying it daily. One day your thought might manifest into reality. So, and in South Indian and even in other weddings, there's something called Kashi Yatra. Just before the wedding happens, the bridegroom says, I'm going away to Kashi to renounce everything. And the bride's father runs behind and says, come back, and forces him. You have a better option than my daughter. And so those type of things are there. Then in classical music, there are compositions around the greatness of Kashi. Puranic literature talks about Kashi. So in so many ways, this was so important to the common masses and their consciousness. Now even politically, every time the Kashi Vishwanath Mandir was raised by waves of Islamic iconoclasm, starting with 1194 with Qutubuddin Aibak, then Razia Sultan in 1236, then the Jaunpur Sharki Nawabs in the 14th century, then Sikandar Lodi, who demolished all the temples of Kashi, and then finally Aurangzeb in 1669. Shrines fell, shrines rose, but the Hindus of Kashi never gave up. In and around the main shrine, there would be another shrine that would come up. So this book is a story of that resilience and never say die attitude that our ancestors put forward. And this narrative today of the North and South being different, South India things separate and all of that. Nobody of that time, including the people or the rulers, thought that Kashi is in Awadh, Uttar Pradesh, it doesn't matter to someone elsewhere. So 1194, Aibak destroys it. But a few decades later, in 1212, you had the Bengal ruler Vishwarupa of the Sena dynasty come and establish a huge pillar right in the heart of Kashi, saying this city belongs to Vishweshwar. So it's literally claiming it. Yeah. And then 10 years later, you had a Gujarati businessman called Seth Vastupal, who gives almost more than ₹1,00,000 to rebuild the temple. So East, it mattered a lot. West India, it mattered a lot. From South India, from the state I come from, Karnataka, there was a Hoysala ruler called Veera Narasimha III, who in around 1250, 1260 CE donated an entire village called Hebbale, so that the proceeds of the revenue that came from there would actually go to pay the pilgrims, to pay the jizya tax that the Delhi Sultanate had started imposing. As a Hindu, if I wanted to go and pay respects to my own temple, I have to pay a tax to the Sultanate. And people could not afford that. So the Hoysala ruler said this, and in the inscription that is there, he says, I'm donating this village, it's itself, so that all the proceeds go to the lotus feet of Vishwanath. And then you had the Marathas, right from Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to all the Peshwas and everyone who never gave up on this site. Constantly, so not only common man, but also common man, woman, but also the political powers of the time, right from the time the temples were demolished, they constantly made ways and means to reclaim that. That is why it becomes so important today. Today we are so probably deracinated and so disconnected from our history that we don't know that this was the fight that our ancestors put for this place. Today we so easily will say let's give it up, but you're literally not living up to whatever your ancestors fought for centuries. And that is where the importance of the case and also the importance of the place becomes in the larger consciousness of the country.
And you also write, that temples are located, there was a locational significance also, whether it is in Ayodhya, whether it is Kashi Vishwanath.
Yeah, so, the theological difference between a temple and a mosque, so to say, one needs to understand that in a temple there is a pran pratishthit murti. The pran pratishtha is done. We believe, the Hindus believe, that in the idol or the deity is invoked and the divinity is invoked there, the pran is put into that. And then it becomes a living being. And that's why, there's Nitya Puja. You treat it as almost as you do to a child, right? I mean, you wake the child up, you feed something. There is so much naivedya that is done, alankaras that are done to take it up in different ways. And you put the person to bed also at the end of the day. There are utsavs, all these things happen. And we see, when Durga Puja happens, or Ganesh Chaturthi happens, we do a visarjan of the deity, the murti after. So unless you do a vidhivat Visarjan of the deity, the Hindu belief is the prana still exists there. So the deity, by just khandit murti, you just break the idol, that doesn't take away the energy. The person is still existing there. So that is the Hindu belief, that once a temple, always a temple, till you have done a vidhivat Visarjan of the deity and sent farewell to that, say, Agle saal fir se aao, Ganpati Bappa Moria, that they do. So that is not done in these cases where temples have been destroyed. And so, whereas in the case of a mosque, there is no such concept. It's just a congregational space where people get together to do a community prayer, namaz, which they do. And so that's why even in Muslim countries, mosques get routinely translocated for very mundane reasons like laying a railway line or widening a road and so on, because that's the concept theologically is very different between these two structures.
Before I let you go, Vikram, waiting for Shiva, you've written a biography of Veer Savarkar, Brave Hearts of Bharat. Is there a certain trend here? What is Vikram Sampath up to, in terms of choosing your topics?
I think the topics choose me rather than me choosing them. But I think the common theme, Priya, in all of this is a reclamation of that historical amnesia that we've unfortunately gone into.
Historical amnesia, I like that.
That we think everything is passé, everything is okay. Let's forget the past. Let's build a better future. Of course, building a better future is an aspiration for anybody in any country, especially like India. But at the same time, unless you have that moorings and rootings in your past and understand where you come from, you really a tree which isn't rooted well, it cannot branch out in the open skies. Sri Aurobindo had this famous poem which said, on a tree, which said, earth bound, heaven amorous. You need to have your bindings and roots clear. That's when your branches will be heaven amorous and reach out to the heavens. So I think that is very important for this nation at this stage. Till now, we had roti, kapda, makan issues, basic, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Till you have food and water. And now that is done, the cultural project, the historical project, that is gaining momentum. Especially the youth of India want to know what is our identity, where have we come from, what are our rituals, what is our religion all about. And there is a need to rediscover and retell those stories in a better way. And in a small way, my work, I'm trying to do that precisely, particularly for the history of India.
On a small way, I was there at your book launch. It was a pretty big way. In fact, it was very well attended in Delhi. We had the finance minister there who came, and she made a very good case, for books like this, saying it is very important in this project of reclaiming our past. Documentation is important. And Vikram has quoted a lot of sources also in his book. So I've enjoyed the book and wish you all the best, Vikram, for all the more, many more such launches.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great pleasure talking to you as always.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.